This is going to sound nuts. This might piss you off. It doesn't matter if President Biden is elected or Gavin Newsom or President Trump. Ukraine is still going to be supported. We don't stop Russia or by supporting Ukraine with weapons. We're going to have to eventually use American troops when Russia invades Poland and the Baltics.
Do you have strong opinions about Elon Musk and X? Do you think anything like funky intentional is going on there, or do you think it's just become a breeding ground for bad actors? The people that traditionally in our political system deal with conspiracies, usually it's right-wingers, but right-wingers will not touch anything related to Russia because their brain immediately goes to Russiagate, so they won't talk about any of it.
I can see that.
Oh, Lex Friedman! True! Holy sh! Long lost brothers. Absolutely. Oh my god. Well, hey, what's up?
Hey, I don't know if I'm coming through yet. Use my camera loud this time.
I hear your voice. I don't see your video. Do you want me to send video, or do you think that'll cause it to be too laggy?
You can send video if you want. I don't know. I'm in the hotel room, so.
Okay.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. How's life going?
It's freaking crazy. I'm going to. I was just in. Where was I? I was just in Texas, in Austin, Texas, for this Army Vertex conference where we're trying to figure out how to use drones in the future. And then I left Austin to go to LAX to go to Australia for a conference where I'm presenting a paper on disinformation in the during natural disasters. It's like if there's like a natural disaster in in Australia, one of their big issues is like there might be Chinese disinformation agents might tell people to go to the wrong place to get aid just to destabilize the country.
Sure.
So, but once I present, then I'll have my paper available, and I have my name on another paper.
Well, that's cool. Very nice. Very nice.
How can I help you?
I'm just hanging out. I'm just chilling. Just been reading and researching.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been like paying more attention to. Here's the thing. Here's two things. Okay. One, I agree. I think there should be kinetic responses for verified disinformation. I think that is totally fair game. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two. Okay. This is my pet project, and my pet project, I mean, I'll announce it as an idea and it'll go nowhere. But if any congressman wanted to support this, I will help campaign for you, whatever that means, okay? I think that there should be legislation passed in the United States that makes it so that if you are any type of media person with a certain threshold following, that you should have to publish like tax forms or like income for your business. I think that that should be publicly viewable information.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know what that threshold.
Like 5,000 followers on whatever. It would be a low threshold. I feel like the more that I look around, so I've started like paying more attention to like the Twitter bot stuff, reading some of the releases that come out from, I don't even know which departments, whatever cybersecurity stuff, where they talk about like the different softwares, available. And I've just been like kind of like rethinking about a lot of the things that people say. And I'm trying not to switch. I feel like I've flipped the switch like very dramatically in my brain to where the bot stuff and the Russian stuff was kind of like in the background and it's like always something we should be aware of, to now it's like at the forefront of my mind with almost every single interaction that I'm looking at with people. I feel like people are lockstep with pro-Russian talking points ubiquitously across the entirety of the conservative and center mainstream and alternative media sphere. Like, I don't know if it could be any more lockstep.
Some are. Some aren't. I mean...
who isn't? Tell me who isn't. Help me. Save me. Help my brain here. Massage my brain a little bit.
Oh, you did a debate with Sebastian Gorka.
That is true. He's not, although he's kind of like an older guy. I don't know how relevant he is anymore. I don't know how big his channel is.
He sees how dangerous this is.
But he still supports Trump.
You know what? I don't... This is going to sound nuts. This might piss you off. It doesn't matter.
What doesn't?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if President Biden is elected or Gavin Newsom, which, maybe, right? Right.
Hmm.
Or President Trump. Ukraine is still going to be supported. And I say that because at least the Democratic wing of the party knows that if we don't stop Russia in Ukraine with Ukrainian support, or by supporting Ukraine with weapons, we're going to have to eventually use American troops
Hmm.
when Russia invades Poland and the Baltics. And President Trump, for whatever flaws that you consider him to have, what's his biggest fear? China, right? China. That's what he always calls it. And I think he knows that the best way of defeating China is to stand firm on Ukraine, because if China sees Europe and America kind of get all wishy-washy on supporting Ukraine, they'll go, well, we'll be able to take Taiwan, because if they can't support Ukraine when they can railhead everything there, how are they going to support Taiwan when they have to float everything there? So I don't think it really matters. I know that guy JD Vance or something. He was just made vice president. But what do vice presidents do? They run the Senate and they open shopping malls, right? Like,
I mean, I feel like it depends. I think different vice presidents have different take charge of different issues depending on what
maybe not Cheney, right? Cheney
Sure.
was a little,
and even I think
off
even
his rocker.
Biden did a lot of like foreign policy visits and everything on Trump's behalf, or I'm sorry, not Trump's
Hey,
behalf, on Obama's behalf. I think Biden was pretty involved in that. But I mean, it depends on the vice president. Like I don't know what Kamala Harris does.
But I look
The
at
I feel like you're assuming really easily that it's like it's just a given that Trump would support Ukraine. I feel like the issue that I have is like if there's an issue that's scary to you, you can either like confront it head on, which requires like a kind of training, or you kind of like if you ever seen like a trained boxer fight an untrained person and they turn their back, and it's like, well, if you turn your back to somebody, you've completely lost. I feel like Donald Trump is in that latter category where his way of combating things isn't like the proactive world hegemonic American way of like, well, we need to be the leader of the free world. We need to make sure that NATO is strong and powerful. We need to show support for our allies. I feel like Donald Trump is on the train of we need to just tear off the of everybody. We need to get the of all these wars. We need to like bring all of our troops home and just stay in America. And we need to be as isolationist as like possible. That's what it feels like. And I feel like that comes out in the form of tariffs and in the form of constantly and consistently undermining NATO, and in the form of telling Ukraine that like they need to figure it out immediately and solve a peaceful deal, which is going to leave Ukraine. I feel like.
yeah, and we're just gonna have to deal with Russia again in 10 years. So we can either deal with it now, and all Ukraine wants are weapons. They're not even asking for dudes. Just say,
Well,
give us this
two things:
to finish.
weapons and permission, because they're very, very, very shackled in terms of how far in they can strike as well.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That might change with the F-16. I don't know. When the F-16 is introduced, probably the biggest, I don't say game changer. I think we should stop saying that word, but once the biggest advantage the F-16 brings, in addition to the AMRAAM air-to-air missile, which it's close to the oh my God, what was it called? A-37 that Russia uses. It's close in range, not exact, but close. It's the fact that the F-16 carry the HARM anti-radiation missile, and it can do what's called wild weasel. So they'll have F-16s go up, and they try to bait the radar, like come shoot at me, light me up, oh, you just lit me up, and they turn and they fire a missile right down that illumination beam. And the other thing is jammers. What is an electronic warfare jammer? It's an emitter, right? It emits radiation. What does the HARM anti-radiation missile do? It goes after radiation. So now you have this. You can home on jam, and now you're faced with this dilemma of, all right, I can either shut my jammer off and be blown up, or I can keep my jammer on and try to prevent GPS signals from being used, or from being used on precision weapons. So the fact that the F-16 can get illuminated and then fire a missile immediately that is an evolutionary capability compared with what Ukraine is doing now with the MiG-29, where they have to program in the target ahead of time with a
Can you explain real
laptop.
quick when you're saying that somebody shoots at an F-16 and then they can fire a missile immediately? Why is it because the enemy's revealed a position and they didn't have the recon before? Or what is that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so think of it like this. Imagine you have a flashlight, right?
Yeah.
When you're trying to find, I don't know, you're in your basement and the lights are out, and there's like a bat in your basement. You're gonna try to find this bat.
Mm-hmm.
So you turn that flashlight on. Well, that bat can see that flashlight, right? So it
Sure.
knows that it's just been illuminated,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you're flying in an F-16, since the software in the F-16 can talk to the harm missile and dynamically say, "Hey, I just smelled something. Do you want me to go after this?" That provides a massive capability increase because now you can do this dynamically. If you're lit up by this illumination radar, really no different than you're illuminating someone with a flashlight, you can fire a missile that follows that flashlight beam down. And since the harm remembers the location of that flashlight beam, it's just going to go right to that source. So you have two choices now. You can shut the radar off, it's still going to find you, or you can move the entire radar unit,
Gotcha. So
which
this is
maybe
like,
you'll be able to do,
and we
maybe you
wouldn't
won't.
assume we don't have recon on where all of those stations are anyway. That's just information we don't have. You have to wait for them to reveal themselves, or
So we probably have satellite data, but if Russia is smart, they're moving these things on occasion
mm-hmm.
because once you set up after 24, 48 hours, like everyone knows where you are.
Okay.
And then you might be able to be attacked by a dumb munition. So there's some, most likely in places like Crimea, they probably have semi-permanent sites. And near the front lines, they're probably moving those constantly. And don't forget, they also might have to turn them off or go to low power for maintenance. You got to do that. You got to do maintenance periodically.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to do deconfliction. So you might turn your radars off when you're letting friendly aircraft through a corridor. So let's say you have a couple of Su-24s and they want to go bomb Kharkiv. You might turn your radars off. That way there's a corridor. That way there isn't a chance in heck that you'll be able to accidentally shoot down some of your own planes. So that's something Russia might do,
Mm-hmm.
if they wanted to make sure, because they can't do deconfliction that well. But again, neither can we. It's hard when you get all that stuff flying.
And when you say
That
deconfliction,
is
what specifically does that mean? Deconfliction?
so for deconfliction. Um, that essentially means that you you need to know where friendly planes are
Mm-hmm.
and plan for protecting that airspace. So that way, if you have a plane wander into surface to air missile airspace, the surface to air missile guys know, oh, wait, a strike package is supposed to come through between the hours of 09 and 0930. So let's not shoot at them. Right?
Oh,
That's
just preventing
deconfliction.
friendly fire, basically. Okay, okay.
Yeah, preventing friendly fire.
Gotcha.
Everybody knows where everybody else is,
Okay.
and that helps prevent any kind of fratricide.
Okay.
Usually.
Usually.
It still happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, we shot down the U.S. Patriot system. Shot down, I believe, a couple of British and American planes during the first Gulf War. It's hard. You got all this stuff flying around, and the word might not get down to the other unit. Like, hey, don't shoot at these planes. They're coming through. Like, all it takes is one person to not pass on a message, and
Yeah.
that Patriot's screaming through the sky.
Do you think that are you worried at all that Republicans don't take the Russia stuff seriously at all, or do you think that they will in office? Do you think it's different than the rhetoric? Or
I think there's things you say to get elected, and then there's things you actually do. And I know that one of the things that people have talked about is deep state, and deep state is really just your career civil servants, right?
mm-hmm.
And these people have studied Russia for years, they've studied China for years, and those are the people you're going to kind of lean on when developing policy. Be some people who say, "Well, I have policy experience in whatever," and I'm sure you looked at that Project 2025 book.
I've seen a bit
I
of it.
actually
Yeah.
read it.
Oh, okay.
I read the whole thing, all 900 freaking pages.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of pages, and I'm going to do 2 videos about it. One is actually about the actual document, and then one is like what what they're saying about the military portion. Because there's some things like they want like a 350 ship Navy, probably not a bad idea. They also want to prevent transgender people from serving in the military.
What's the size of our Navy right now?
Not that many. I want to say two. Now you're asking me Department of the Boat people questions. I want to say 275-ish ships.
Okay.
I'd be wrong. That's easy to Google.
Okay.
But under Ronald Reagan, we had almost 600.
Gotcha.
And
now,
one of the issues.
Oh, go ahead.
One of the issues is that a lot of these ships aren't as effective as even the ones from the 1980s. We used to be really into frigates. Now, the Oliver Hazard Perry class frigate, the Kidd class. I can't remember the darn other class of a frigate. It'll come to me. But so Oliver Hazard Perry, that was an anti-submarine warfare frigate. Kidd class, it was supposed to go to Iran. We bought that, and I can't remember the darn other class of frigate. But we retired all of our frigates, and we never really added that mission set back in. Now we're starting to build some more frigates again, which is good. But, the frigates act as the pickets or things like carrier strike groups or different kinds of battle groups. So we need those. They play a crucial role in detection. And by creating some of these things, we can build up our Navy a little bit. The LCS, Littoral Combat Ship, it didn't quite fit the role that we thought it was going to play. We built a lot of these things, and they're probably fine for patrolling the Caribbean for drug pirates or whatever, but so can a Coast Guard cutter for probably half the cost.
Has there been any large-scale Navy versus Navy conflict between big powers since World War II?
The Falklands.
Okay, I don't know anything about that. Okay.
So basically Argentina took over the Falkland Islands, which is right off the coast of Argentina. And funny thing is that the Falkland Islands, essentially, it was like 1,900 people and 6,000 sheep.
Okay.
Right?
Well, this sounds like it's not a big Navy versus Navy.
Yeah. Well, it kind of was, because Argentina had an aircraft carrier. They had multiple ships. And what's funny is that, initially, there was some doubt. I think one person described it as the Falkland Islands and this war between between Argentina and England. It was like two bald men fighting over a comb. Right. There's no minerals in the Falkland Islands. There's really nothing of any consequence there. But there was
the sheep you mentioned, right?
Yeah, the sheep. I'm sure that was pretty important. But there was the Union Jack, and Margaret Thatcher didn't play. And so she sent an entire battle group, multiple aircraft carriers, submarines to go take those islands back. And Argentina put up a good fight, at least on the air side and the naval side. Land side, not so much. They didn't treat their troops that well. Some of their troops didn't have winter clothing. Some of their troops had no idea what to do. A lot of them were conscripts. I want to say 6 British ships were lost. Some to French Exocet missiles, which was essentially the advent of the anti-ship cruise missile, and some to just conventional bombs. The Argentinian pilots were freaking ballsy as all hell. They were flying against these British ships, dropping dumb bombs, trying to take these ships out. I mean, that took freaking guts. But eventually the British took back the islands. But that was probably the first modern naval engagement, force-on-force naval engagement. And now what's funny is that the British Navy today has fewer ships than just the battle group that was sent to Falkland Islands.
Damn.
So I always thought that was kind of interesting.
Do you have strong opinions about Elon Musk and X? Do you think anything funky intentional is going on there, or do you think it's just become a breeding ground for bad actors?
It is a breeding ground for bad actors, and I can kind of understand where Elon is coming from. The whole free speech, that kind of thing. I get why he's doing it. I also kind of think that and you're talking to a guy who drives a Tesla. I also kind of think that he once you have a certain amount of money, just regular entertainment won't do. So let me buy this Twitter and let's cause complete chaos, and then I can amuse myself, right?
Hmm.
So I I think that free speech is important, and while I don't necessarily agree with some of the things people say on Twitter, the neat thing is that I have free speech too, and I'm going to use my free speech to tell you that you're a liar.
Do you think it says anything that Elon seems to like exclusively support like very far right commentary? Like,
I mean, I think it isn't necessarily very far right commentary as much as it is him trying to be an edge lord, right? Oh, look at this. This is shocking. I'm going to agree with it.
sure, but
You
it's like
know,
always
that way.
edgy in like one direction, right? Actually, you know what? I will take umbrage. I will fight you on that. Actually, I would not call it edgy. Actually, there's a term that I coined. What did I call this? Hassan does this. It's like corporate safe edgy. It's where people pretend to be edgy in certain environments, but I don't think they're edgy. They say the things that are they seem edgy, but they're actually super safe in the environments that they're in. I would say, for instance, a counterexample would be me. I am edgy, but I would say that I'm edgy because I'll say things that trigger the out of people, irrespective of where I'm at, right? So when I tweeted like the anti-Palestinian stuff, I shouldn't say anti-Palestinian, but like Palestinian jokes, there are certain people that get very, very, very triggered by that are in my camp. Or when I tweeted or spoke about like the Corey dude, the firefighter guy, obviously that triggered the out a lot of people. White people say these comments are edgy, but when I look at like Elon's edginess, all of it points in one direction. Like he's never saying a negative thing about Trump. He's never saying a negative thing about right wing populism or anything like that. It's always aimed in one direction. Or at least that's my feeling.
Initially,
Unless
he
I'm
did
saying it.
not like President Trump. I read his biography. I've read like two biographies on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, he didn't seem to like President Trump all that much. I guess he was invited to be part of a space council,
Sure.
and he was unimpressed. But like I can kind of see like from a guy who's on the technical side, you're dealing with a guy who's on the I don't want to say big picture side, but what is President Trump good at? He's good at building hotels and golf courses. At least
Mm-hmm.
I assume so. I've never stayed at one of his hotels. I've never played golf, but he seems pretty good at making hotels and golf courses, right? And you'd think that might translate into the presidency and being able to manage like, oh yes, we're going to do this project, we're going to do this project, but one of the interesting things is that the government isn't a business; it's a government, right?
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be kind of the one thing that kind of people forget about. That the government isn't a business. And so if you try to run it like a business, it might not work out the way you think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I can tell you this. I've lived in New Jersey, I've lived in Maryland, I've lived in a number of different states. Going to the DMV in Maryland is wonderful. I can't believe it. People are friendly. Like that's like, oh my God, government can actually work, like at least at the DMV in Maryland. You come to New Jersey and you go to the DMV and they're all like, yeah, that'll be $97 and I don't like your shoes.
Okay.
Like that's New Jersey.
Okay. Um.
Like you said, some people were saying that you were under some kind of bot attack, or you were going down a rabbit hole on some bots. Is that something you wanted to talk about?
Oh no, I just there's like I've been paying more attention to like activity on Twitter, and the amount of like disingenuous activity seems to be a lot higher than
Yeah.
I thought. Whether it's like botted accounts or whether it's just like people trolling or whatever, it just seems like there's like very very high levels of it. And then when I start to click through accounts and I start to like retweets and stuff, it's either like
Yeah.
I don't know if these people are just like completely fake and that they're like AI generated shit, or if it's just people who are like trolling, which is about as bad, except people actually wasted their time on it. Yeah, and then I'm also I don't know, it starts to feel weird, and then I kind of like look around at these environments, and then I'm like, I don't know what the is even being posted right now. Or it's weird, like if this is a bot account, like there are several accounts I've found that are like very 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 strange, and they're like posting like very personal like attacks against me. And I'm like, it's so weird. Is it's like been picked up and algorithmically generated at me, or is it like some dude trolling who also just like talks about other weird unrelated shit? Or I don't know. Just it's very interesting seeing the or unsettling, I guess I should say, seeing the environment that exists on X. And then it's triply annoying because the people that traditionally in our political system deal with conspiracies, not to throw any side under the bus, usually it's right wingers, but right wingers will not touch anything related to Russia because their brain immediately goes to Russiagate. So they won't talk about any of it.
I can see that. I can see that. I I don't know. I don't know why. If you ever think someone is being disingenuous or isn't real, you let me know, and I'll put them through Cyabra. Cyabra is the software it costs like $12,000 a month. Not cheap.
$12,000 a month?
$12,000 a month, dude.
Jesus.
AWS fees are no freaking joke.
Wait, is this like software you've developed, or are you renting this, another company licensed it to you?
No, so Cyabra allows me to use it for free to a certain point,
Okay.
because like everything goes into AWS, and so you have to pay fees to AWS. So Cyabra will churn through mountains and mountains and mountains of data, looking for keywords, looking for inauthentic actors. And that takes processing time. Nothing's free, right? So if you find something,
Wait, how long does it take to run somebody through like this database or whatever?
It depends. Like it depends on whether you're doing Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, but it could be a couple hours. It also depends on how far back you want to go. The software goes back like a month. Oh, that's about the limit. Because again, like there's just so much data.
Sure.
You just, if you try to churn through it all, finding historical stuff is a freaking nightmare. Even when I was researching that End Wokeness account, I don't know if you watched that video I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I had to go to the Wayback Machine because at some point the guy running that End Wokeness account deleted all their stuff. And it could have been that that account was maybe just set up as a farm just to gain followers, and then it was sold. That could be a possibility. Or
people used to have Reddit accounts a long time ago. Yeah. I don't like the idea of. Could you imagine if like you turned on the news and there's like 5 news channels and they're just called A, B, C, D, E, and F, and you have no idea like who's behind them or what the structure is. Like, I really don't like the anonymity tied to news accounts, like that Libs of TikTok account. Like, how many people? Like, what I'm saying is that like, let's say that it came out, for instance, let's say there are 10 of the largest accounts on Twitter. Let's say that we find out that like 7 of them are foreign accounts that come from like, like Qatar or Russia. Like, I think that's important. Like, I think it's really, really important to know. I don't like that there's no accountability or like not even any open transparency or information about it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just it, right? Like, one of the neat things about America is that anyone can kind of call themselves a journalist, which can be good or bad, right? But there's no licensing process for a journalist. If the government ever demands a license to become a journalist, that's probably when even you would put on your Hawaiian shirt and get out your plate carrier and start,
Sure.
start fighting, right? But the issue is the news accounts that are really entertainment accounts. And that kind of, are you doing news or are you doing entertainment? And,
I think it should be one. I think if you're commenting on certain political issues, I think a court could figure it out. That's what we have them for.
Well, here's my question for you: am I news or am I entertainment?
I'd say you're news. You'd have to register. In my regime, yeah, you'd be registering, and I would find out where your money comes from.
That's an interesting question because I was thinking about that. I stopped calling myself a journalist like last year when Tim Mack of the Counteroffensive asked me to do like actual journalism stuff, and I was just so clueless. Like, I have to write a what? What's a slug line? Like, like, what do you want me to? I can write a script and then talk. Can I do that? No, you need to write an article.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know how to do this. I guess I'm not actually a journalist. So, that's when I stopped. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do the intel side of things. And the more I look at it, and, people have compared me to Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I don't think anybody in astronomy or astrophysics considers him to be a brilliant physicist. I think if you are working as an astrophysicist today, you're probably pretty good,
Sure.
right? Because you got to get your degree in physics and you got to get your master's. So there's fewer people that get their master's than you got to get your PhD,
Okay.
and then you got to get a job doing that. So there's probably very few actual astrophysicist jobs. But he's also written like 13 papers, which, from what I understand, is not that much.
Sure. It's not that
He's
much. I will
really
say
good
though, he is a communicator, but he is like pretty well studied.
communicator.
Like he like has contributed to research. Maybe not like as much as somebody that does it all the time, but he's a communicator. But like I think he's significantly above. And I'm not even throwing him under the bus, but like Bill Nye, for instance. I think that Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah,
I think it's
different kind of science.
yeah.
Yeah, or like Hank Green, right? Like I guess maybe Hank Green might be a better.
Sure,
You know,
sure,
Hank
sure.
Green.
Maybe yeah. Because I don't know if he's
Actually,
yeah.
he does science stuff.
Yeah, but
Just
he
he
doesn't have
calls
any. I
himself
don't think he's published or like PhD or written like that, right?
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not. And I think, the kind of the role that I can kind of play is that, Tom Clancy's dead. They can't bring him on the news anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Orly Ermy is dead, right? So there's really no military communicator or intelligence communicator that can come on and say, hey, this is why this thing is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's definitely that Neil deGrasse Tyson role I can play. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of what I do is entertainment.
Yeah, but it's
Because
entertainment with like the goal to inform, right?
yeah, it's entertainment with the goal to inform. You know, but it's the kind of stuff that you can go to a party and say, "Hey, did you know that the F-16 can protect an area from Washington D.C. all the way up to New York, all the way to Akron, Ohio, and then down to South Carolina?"
Mm-hmm.
And I invented that analogy because when when I'm on a news program, I need to explain how far the F-16 can fly with a weapon load. All right, it's about a 500-mile circle. So Washington D.C. to New York, 500 miles. People know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
You know how far Akron is. You know how far Charlotte is. So
I'm
now they
curious.
have a five.
Let's say that you're arguing. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, also wait. I gave you an account. Okay. If you could look up one, it doesn't have that many tweets. I'm just curious. I just want to know. Okay, what they think about
Okay.
that account.
I can drop this. I can drop this into Cyber right now. Let me open up. It's gonna take. It's gonna take a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I don't need it now. Just in the tomorrow or the day after or something. Right.
Yeah, it won't be that long.
Okay. So let's say that you are. Okay. Are you familiar with a Su-35? Su-35
Yeah, it's kind
Russian
of like
plane.
their stealthy Russia's stealthy-ish fighter.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that it would beat an F-16?
So typically it's the better pilot that wins.
Okay. What if
Yeah.
somebody came out and they said that you're actually wrong? This is just the platform is superior in every way. Okay. This would destroy F-16s. And he pops up, and let's say 7 other channels pop up, and you're going back and forth. It seems like they're fairly knowledgeable, but they're not really correct in what they're saying, but they know enough that their arguments are convincing. And let's say that you have this fight for a while, and then let's say, I'm not saying that the plane itself or that the determination is made based on like the YouTube chats, but let's say that the United States ultimately decides to pull the F-16 platform from Ukraine, that we either want to take them back or we don't want them using them or whatever. And then you're looking around, you're kind of like outnumbered by these other channels that are constantly posting misinformation about how F-16s are just like, they're just shitty planes. And let's say that, my piece of legislation passes or something, and you find out in 5 years, all 6 of these accounts who had avatars of being like African-American men or like very like Southern Texan men or whatever, you find out that, actually these guys, they were all named Petrov or whatever, and they were all from like fucking Moscow and St. Petersburg. Do you think that that's information where you're like, okay, well, fuck me. I would have really wanted to know that these were the people that I was arguing with? Or do you think that that type of information, people have a right, foreign citizens have a right to obscure that when it comes to participating in our media environment, even if they just say like, oh, well, these are just like fun videos we're doing talking about planes. We're not journalists.
So I don't think foreign viewers have a right to anything.
Okay.
Right. And you are talking to a guy who thinks that foreign viewers have a right to a hellfire through their freaking window.
Okay. They do right now, though, enjoy like a pretty broad, I don't want to call them legal rights, but like corporate rights, essentially, right? Like Google isn't going to out
Yeah.
an account or whatever because the policies that they have for their users are going to be the same as they would for a U.S. citizen, except for maybe like responding to subpoenas or something. Or no, even at that, it's probably going to be the same, yeah.
It would be nice to know. It would be nice to know. But that's why you have people who watch those accounts. That's why you have,
Well, but now we
I
can't
said,
because part of Elon coming over to X was doing the Twitter files and then saying that the FBI was corrupt for suggesting to Twitter that some accounts might be compromised, and now he's cut all contact, essentially, or cooperation working with these people. So we've lost any collaboration and any insight into at least the X platform, right?
Twitter was doing some interesting stuff when it came to suppressing accounts that didn't fit the narrative of what the U.S. government wanted to talk about regarding, the pandemic. That's an issue. Because I mean, here's the thing: you want free speech, but also good science requires questioning data.
Okay.
Right? You can't say this is the way of this is definitely how this is whatever. And that's if you look at if you look at something like masking, when it came to COVID-19, we didn't really know if we could or we couldn't, we should or we shouldn't. Would it make a difference? Yes, it would make a difference. And then kind of later on, we found out like, oh yeah, well that we were wrong. We need special kinds of masks. And then we kind of find out later, no, none of that's true. So it took science to get there, right? And you're not going to have everything go right. And I think probably one of our biggest misses regarding COVID, and probably one of the reasons that Twitter conspiracy theories took off, was that we didn't sit down with the American people and say, we don't know what's going on, and a whole bunch of people are going to die.
I disagree. I feel like I'm
that,
sympathetic towards that position, but I think it assumes that everybody in the field is a good faith actor trying to discern or figure out like what actually is going on. But I think the challenge is you've got first world countries, or not, that's dumb. The whole world we're in an environment where there is now a virus spreading. Nobody knows what the maximum extent is going to be, what the lethality is going to be, how contagious it's going to be, how far, like nobody really knows. And now you have to start making judgments. I imagine probably not very dissimilar to what you might do in an active war zone, right? Where you have to start making judgment calls with limited information, and you don't have time to wait for everything. Because if you wait, right, sometimes indecision is the worst decision. Oftentimes, indecision is the worst decision, worse than a bad decision. And I don't have an issue with people. Not only do I not have an issue, I think that people should always be skeptical of and second guessing the government. But there's a difference between second guessing and being skeptical versus ascribing malice to every single action. And I think that the former is infinitely valuable and the latter is unbelievably destructive, to where I think there are, and I've said this a million times, and it's true of almost every big issue in the past 8 years, there are so many good conversations that we should have had and could be having about what should a vaccine mandate look like? What should vaccines look like? What should a lockdown look like? How do we approach, trade? But we can't have that because the question isn't what's a good versus a bad lockdown. The question is do you really want Bill Gates telling the government that George Soros is going to lock you in your homes while they're stealing your freedoms because they fucking hate you? And it's like, okay, well, Jesus Christ, I guess we can have that argument, but fuck, it's not advancing anything. We're not getting any closer to any kind of good understanding of anything because we're just fighting conspiracies all day.
Yeah, the conspiracy thing is tough. I don't know how to fix that. And I think that conspiracy theory is kind of like a warm blanket. You really want to enjoy that comfort that everything has an explanation. Regarding the attempted assassination of former President Trump, I look at, I find it very easy to understand why a 20-year-old who's never really done anything in his life might climb up on top of a roof and try to assassinate the president.
Sure.
And I can see the Secret Service saying, you know what, we're not going to station people there because that's outside of the inner cordon and we don't have enough people to do whatever. Or that's local law enforcement, they'll take care of it, and then one person doesn't talk to the other. I see that because I've been in the military and I see how things slip through the cracks.
Yeah, I will say because I haven't commented on this, and I need you to reinforce what I'm going to say because it's really important. It drives me crazy that nobody realizes this. People will only see a mistake when something bad actually happens. Nobody sees like the mistakes when nobody's there to take advantage of it. So like I saw this said over and over again, and these fucking retarded military experts, whoever the fuck goes on TV, like, this is no shot that you would ever leave this room, this would never happen, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no shot. There's no shot that this is the very first time that somebody missed a particular area. Like, I'm sure that there are tons of vulnerabilities, tons of opens, like I'm sure you do your best, but I'm sure things, like you said, slip through the cracks. But there's usually not somebody capitalizing on every single mistake. So whenever somebody does, and there's a mistake that happens, people have this assumption that every single thing was running perfectly right up to that point. And then it makes people far more conspiratorial than I think they ought to be. Do you agree with that, or do you totally disagree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I once talked with a police officer, and I said, "Hey, how was your day today?" And he was like, "Oh, well, I stopped 5 robberies today." Like, geez, you stopped 5 robberies? He's like, "Well, I sat in my car all night,
Patrolling or whatever." Yeah.
I could have stopped 5 robberies, right? Just by being in my car, and decided to rob that particular donut shop, right?
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right that you could be out there. You make a mistake and then nobody capitalizes on that mistake. The one freaking day you make a mistake and someone does, that's a bad day, and you have to be right every time.
Mm-hmm.
The terrorist has to be right once.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Did you ever Did you ever read or do you have any opinions about like the Epstein stuff?
I'm not that familiar with it. I know he was like a kind of pretended that he was a stock trader, but nobody can ever remember doing a stock trade with him.
Sure.
Like,
Okay.
I don't know. That whole thing could have been some sort of elicitation event
Mm-hmm.
where, if someone, did you ever go to like a timeshare presentation?
No, I hear about them in jokes with people, but I don't know. I have no idea what a timeshare is. That's like a joke that comes up.
Oh,
Want a timeshare?
so Jordan Harbinger has a really good video about timeshares, but essentially, when you go to a timeshare pitch,
Mm-hmm.
they have free food there for you. They have free drinks. You've stayed in a nice hotel the past couple of days, so they've kind of primed you to wanting to do them a favor since they did you a favor. Right?
Okay.
It makes it hard to say no to this timeshare presentation.
Yeah.
And it's almost like maybe this Epstein character was working for a government. I don't know which government, but a government.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get these wealthy scientists, these wealthy businessmen, these people, these movers and shakers. Let's get them to an island and ply women on them. And the next time we need a favor, I'd say, "Hey, remember that time I did you that favor? Maybe it's time you can do me a favor." Right?
Sure.
So that might have been Epstein's thing.
Sure. I was curious in terms of the suicide. I think is a really good example of how like having more data available to you can like significantly alter how you view a particular event. I think it's really comparable to the shooting here. Although I don't know as much about the background of how the Secret Service operates around Donald Trump, but like the way that the Epstein story is presented is Epstein was in a cell. He was given something that he wasn't supposed to be given. The cameras were turned off outside of his cell. The officers didn't patrol his cell that night, and then he killed himself while none of the cameras outside were like recording. Like these are all the facts that are given. All of those facts, my understanding is that all of those facts are true. And then given each set of facts, or given the set of facts here, when you look at it, it seems exceptional to believe that anything beyond foul play happened. Like it seems very hard to imagine that all of these things could have perfectly come together that that Epstein actually killed himself and it wasn't, some kind of malfeasance. But if you read the actual, the federal, it's the federal prisons, I wish I could remember the name of the agency, but it's whatever the federal prisons, Bureau of Prisons or whatever it is. When you read their report and they go over, the conditions of the prison, you find out that it wasn't just his camera that was turned off. Half the cameras in the prison weren't recording for weeks, that there had been maintenance requests put in because, they just didn't have the money for it. And you find out that there were a lot of complaints filed that guards often complained that prisoners often complain that, guards just, they don't patrol, they don't walk by, they don't fucking do anything, they don't check on us at night, right? And then as you, read more of these, conditions, you're like, oh, okay, I think I kind of I'm understanding more what's going on, or was there foul play? I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but now the official story that's presented seems far more likely, or at the very least, more plausible. Yeah. And I feel the same, for like anytime a bad thing
Yeah.
happens, like, if somebody gets into a drunk driving car accident, it probably wasn't the first time they were drunk driving. It's probably just the first time they got into an accident drunk driving. But that's the only thing you see, not everything beforehand, you know?
Yeah, that's actually, I did not know about how many cameras were turned off, but that does change things, right?
Yeah.
So, oh, the camera in his cell was turned off, but all the cameras were out that month.
Yeah.
Where was it? Rikers Island or something? Where was Epstein? Where did he stay?
I don't know the name of
Oh,
the
hold on
prison,
for
but
a second.
yeah, be
Someone's
careful.
someone's at the door here.
Okay,
Be
be
right
careful.
back. Oh.
I don't like these. I don't like this retainer.
I'm
It's
here.
too big. It's bother me. Hi.
All right. Let me pop this back on. Did I? All right. Yeah, I'm good to go. I see the light coming in that way. All right. What else we got?
I think that's about all I have for now. Did your software return anything? Is it a bot?
Let me look. I'm gonna look right now. Here. I don't. I'm gonna have to log out, log back in again. So Sabra. I can once this if the answers haven't come through. All right. I called the Project Destiny. Oh Jesus.
What?
Oh wait, Mount Moore. I'm sorry. Well, 5% of this person's Mount Mora are inauthentic followers. Although all of a sudden, this person just started posting a lot. Average, they don't seem to post Saturday or Sunday ever. They seem to post Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, mainly Friday at around 12 p.m. I mean, I would have to dig a little bit more. Let me look at the text here. I don't know if I can show this whole screen because Cyber might get mad at me if I
Yeah, you don't
actually
have to. You're
show
good.
like
You're good.
what's. But I don't know if this particular account is inauthentic. But the account is followed by some inauthentic accounts, which that's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Yeah, I would have to like dig through this a little bit more than I can do just staying on. And I'll have to do a report for you, but
Okay. I was
that's
just curious.
interesting. 80% men. That could be some kind of clue. Yeah, 26% negative spreaders.
What's that
This
mean?
person mainly. So Mount Mora. So according to a negative spreader is like a person who mostly spreads false information.
Oh, okay.
So negative information or false information.
Does it give you a clue?
Uh,
I don't know if you manually investigate these ever. Do you ever find that it's weird that you'll find these accounts that kind of post pretty frequently? They've got very low follower counts, very low engagement, but they're posting like unique AI pictures.
yeah, I think I've dealt with this dude before.
Really?
Yeah, is his picture of Brooke Goldstein?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I might have dealt with this dude before. No, he's so Cyabra believes this is an authentic profile.
Okay.
It was created in May of 2022. What's the particular issue with this guy?
I was just curious because the comments about me were very specific and they seem to like exhibit like humor and everything. But then there are also like these other comments about like Al Aqsa and like very particular like Middle Eastern comments. And the engagement with me just feels like a little bit strange, but it's really hard to tell like this could just be like a autistic internet person versus like, yeah, I don't know. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking. It looks like a lot of this stuff is human generated,
Mm-hmm.
so there's not a lot of AI content here.
Wait, what do you mean
So
by human generated? Like pictures or?
Not like the tweets this person is tweeting. They're likely human generated.
What is it?
So
What does the software do to try to figure that out?
I don't know if I can talk about that.
Oh, okay.
It's a trade secret.
Okay, gotcha.
There is some stuff here that is possibly AI generated. He does not want to destroy Al-Aqsa and the dome, build a third temple. He is not a Jew. He is not an ally. He is Amalek. Who talks like this? It's weird. Just be some weird dude.
Yeah. Huh.
All right. I guess I'm gonna go shower because I have a 15-hour flight coming up.
Well, good luck. Have fun. Be careful. Are you? Wait. Are you where? You already said
Flying
exactly where
into
you're flying.
Sydney.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm flying into Sydney, and then I got to fly from Sydney. I got to clear customs, fly to the Gold Coast. Gold Coast for 2 days, then Sydney for 5 days, 4 days,
And
4 days.
that's a damn 15-hour flight. All right. Well.
15-hour flight in premium economy. That's all I could afford.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
It's like $10,000.
Jesus.
This whole trip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. It's like but I get to write a paper, so it's all worth it. Hey, it's good seeing you again, man. I'm glad you're doing okay. I had, this is how much your fans love you. They told me you need to give him a call
Yeah.
because he's in a bad place. It's like I'll do it. I don't think he needs to. He's a grown man, He doesn't need to listen to me. But
No, the fans are babies sometimes, but
I'm
okay.
glad you're okay.
Well, thanks
Glad
for
you're
stopping
okay.
by. If there's ever anything that comes up, you want to chat, just let us know. And yeah.
Hey, Steven, you have a great day.
Yeah. Have a good one. I'll see you later.